Hi, I'm that one dish that's always in the sink when you come home from work, Aki.
And I'm an abandoned janitorial closet that eats children's shoes. Chrissu.
Welcome to Clamcast.
The show where we talk about nothing at all.
And you can't stop us.
So if you are a member of the OHEC Discord, you will know that we actually had the idea for this topic well before our rivals.
Yes.
Our rivals stole this idea for their own video. So
They did.
Today's topic is living.
Living.
Who's doing it? How? Why? And how can we make them stop?
Yes. Without getting in trouble from the
Yeah.
authorities.
Specifically, living arrangements. Because,
Yes.
Aki and I have both had some pretty funny experiences
Living. In
Just
general.
being alive.
Yeah.
Specifically as it concerns like living with roommates and things and in apartments. So that's what we're talking about today. Roommates, apartments, landlords, tenants.
Tenants being
Walls, beds, decor.
floor to ceiling curtains.
So I have been living not at home since I was, I guess the year that I was on exchange doesn't count. But that I guess qualifies as living because I was living in a different country.
You were.
I was.
For all intents and purposes.
That was
alive at the
actually,
time.
you know what? That was a funny living arrangement. So after high school, I went on an exchange, and I went on an exchange to Italy, and I lived in Sicily for 10 months, which was very cool.
It's funny how rarely this actually comes up.
So it comes up rarely because I don't talk about it very often because the whole time that I was there, I was like deathly afraid of becoming one of those kids who goes on a foreign exchange and just never shuts up about it.
Which is like most people.
Most people, because like the year before I went on an exchange, a bunch of people that I knew went on exchange, and when they got back, it was just like the only thing they would talk about, and they'd just be like, oh my god, it's just like so different in Germany. It's like, it's so different in France. Like, I'm just so used to the way they do it in Germany now. Like, oh my god, like, it's so weird how you guys do it in Canada. Like, you were there for 6 months, Becky, shut up!
Everyone becomes Madonna that one time Madonna went to England and became like British. Yeah. No shade to Madonna. But...
I aspire to that like level of self-confidence that's like a 19-year-old like 3 months deep on a study abroad program has. Like they're just insufferable. Like they think that they are the shit. Like they discovered that country. Anyway.
So you were living in Sicily.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't want to be that. So I'm just gonna never talk about my exchange unless it agonizingly comes up in conversation, like unless someone asks me, have you ever lived in a foreign country, and then I will bust it out.
Or like, how do you say this in Italian?
Yeah.
Which also never comes up.
I was like, ooh, what a cool, like, that'll be a fun and useful language, because the city that I grew up in was very Italian.
Right,
anyway,
of course, yeah.
So I had a host family, obviously, and they were great. The only thing that was a little bit weird about it was that I didn't have my own bedroom. I slept on a pull-out bed in my host brother's bedroom.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. I actually also don't know too much about your exchange because you never talk about it.
Because I never talk about it. Which was, like, honestly, it wasn't the worst thing. It is not great to just never have, like, your own privacy besides being in the bathroom. So yeah, not having privacy kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was a little bit, and I'm sure this was super annoying for him too, and I kind of feel bad about it now, but, like, at that time, I stayed up pretty late, like, which is a funny thing considering how early I go to bed now. But when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I used to stay up till like 1 and 2 in the morning.
Teenagers are
just
funny
like
that, though.
As my natural circadian rhythm, and then I also would sleep late. So I often and he went to bed a lot earlier than I did. So I definitely woke him up a lot by like coming in and like pulling out and setting up my bed at like 1 in the morning.
Especially if you had to like physically.
I'd like physically set it up.
And,
sometimes he would have the forethought of like setting it up so that I wouldn't wake him up when I came to bed. And sometimes I would just do it. Like if I knew he was going to bed, I was like, okay, I'll just go set the bed up so that I'll make less noise. But sometimes I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was not the best.
Not the
greatest. The other thing that I did a lot when I was on exchange was I didn't go to school. Because this was the worst thing. I did my exchange in such a way that I had graduated high school and I had not started university, so it counted for nothing. It completely didn't count at all. I could have failed all my classes, and it would not have reflected anywhere in a permanent way.
Right.
I wasn't doing it for credit.
You were just there.
I was just there. I was with an exchange program, but they didn't care like what stage of your academic career you were at. You just paid and you went. So when I was there, I went to an art school and I took painting.
Okay.
And I was in the equivalent of like grade 11. But they didn't care if I did my homework. Yeah. And they also, because I was 18, didn't care if I skipped school.
Right. It's a little bit like, interestingly, to interrupt very briefly, like when I was teaching Italian students, just a coincidence, but they were all underage. So like when they skipped school and came late, I had to like occupy them. I couldn't just send them home because they were not adults. But anyway.
So another thing that was to me barbaric was they had school 6 days a week.
Oh God.
The only day off was Sunday.
Oh my God.
And I slept even more than I do now as a teenager. Like my normal, like I slept a lot.
That's a thing.
And having a whole day of the week that I was used to having for like a good 14 to 16 hour sleep marathon taken away from me. Didn't work very well for me at the time.
No.
So I would just skip days if I wasn't feeling like it. And at one point I checked my attendance record, and I think it was this is in like January, and I checked. We had like the attendance book was just like left in the classroom, and obviously we're teenagers, so we all looked at it.
Right, of course.
And I was like, wow, I've missed at least one day a week for the past 3 months. Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were just taking your weekend.
I was just taking my weekend. Amazing. No one could stop me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are they gonna do?
What are they gonna do? Like, literally, what are they gonna do?
You're not being disruptive.
No, and I wasn't like causing problems for my host family by doing this. All I did was like sleep.
Yeah.
That's all I like. I didn't do exciting things when I skipped class. I would just sleep.
So proud of you. That is the most like Chrissu core thing ever.
Yeah, I would like sleep until like noon or 1 in the afternoon.
Oh my God.
I would get up, and then it would be lunchtime because you finished school at 2.
Wait, every day?
Yeah.
I guess
school was from like 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. with like no breaks really, and then you just go home and it's lunchtime, and that's it. That's your day.
That is strange to me.
It was very bizarre.
Is that normal in Italy, as far as you know?
I have no idea. My only frame of reference was this one city and this one school.
One particular
and I think other schools had different schedules, because I noticed that there wasn't like a set time when everyone was getting out of school. And my host brother would get home a little bit later and also started earlier or started later. I don't know. It was like very it was not standard.
That is very strange.
Yeah.
I guess
the thing that was standard was the 6 days a week thing. I don't know if that's like just a European thing or just an Italian thing.
That would
or just a Sicily thing. I have no idea. Like my frame of reference is really just like this one city.
There's no way
place
to know.
that I lived. Yeah.
Oh my God.
A lot of some students ended up getting moved around between different families, but I stayed with the same family for all 10 months.
That's nice.
Yeah. I guess that means that they liked me. I feel a little bit bad because I was a very grumpy 18-year-old. Like I think they got me during the grumpiest year of my life.
Really?
Like, I was like exhausted all the time. I slept for very long periods. I was incredibly homesick.
Oh my God.
But didn't want to admit that that's what it was.
Yeah.
So I would like spend too much time on the computer, like with talking to my friends at home because I was homesick. And yeah, anyway.
It's like the Lost in Translation problem.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're supposed to be having the time of your life, so you got to be having the time of your life.
Yeah, exactly. And they'd had an exchange student before me who was also from Canada. And I think she fucked the curve because she sounded like she was just delightful.
Oh.
Like just super lovely and like made all these wonderful friends in Italy and like just like really integrated and was just like a ray of sunshine. And then there was me who was not super social at the time and really just wanted to sleep a lot and didn't like the hot weather.
Oh, it's hot though.
It's very
Man,
hot.
I think I would be really grumpy.
Yeah.
Personally.
But they were great. The host family was wonderful. They did all sorts of cool stuff with me.
That's great.
And yeah, it was a very cool year, but it was very trying. By the time I was like about to come home, I was like so ready to come home.
I forget, you were there for the whole year, right? Like a 6-month thing?
No, 10 months. I was there from August to June.
Okay.
Or no, July. I actually came back on like a few days before my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You didn't get to have a birthday in Italy?
No, not quite.
Alas.
I don't think I even told anyone that it was going to be my birthday.
You wouldn't, like, knowing you,
No.
There's no way you did.
No, I didn't. It was weird enough when people found out that I was an exchange student, they'd make a big fuss over me. So I spent like the whole year just being so uncomfortable. Because like everyone there is so sociable and welcoming and lovely.
Yeah.
And like I was still at that stage of my teenagehood where I was like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't acknowledge that I exist, just leave me alone.
Yeah, which is a weird place to be in on an exchange, I guess.
Yeah, because everyone's going to be kind of making a fuss over you.
Yeah. I always regret that I never got to go on exchange.
I highly recommend it to any of our listeners who are younger than us and are in high school perhaps, and like it's a feasible opportunity for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost as much as you'd think. There are a lot of organizations where it doesn't cost a lot of money. My exchange cost about $4,000, which is not an insignificant sum of money, but it is less than a year of university.
Yeah, it is, like especially for 10 months. That's pretty good,
and
honestly.
It's more or less the cheapest you'll ever be able to get to and stay in a foreign country. Like $4,000 for 10 months is very cheap.
Yeah, no kidding. You would probably spend that on like in a month in Europe normally.
Yeah.
If you're visiting and you're from North America.
Exactly. And you're technically staying, you've got like room and board and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you're fed.
Yeah.
I got there were a couple times I almost went. I almost went when I was in university, in my first year, second year, because there were opportunities to go to Japan, and I was just too afraid to take them, and I super regret it. I was like, oh, what if I miss things that happened here? Like, I don't know. There were not real reasons.
It's very intimidating. I don't think that I was like fully cognizant of how intimidating it actually was, because my parents did this very sneaky thing, which is very clever of them, where they talked about my brother and myself going on an exchange as from like basically as soon as we could talk and we're in school. They just talked about it as like being part of the plan. Just like you guys, like, we think it would be very cool if you went on an exchange. Like, yeah, you're gonna go on an exchange kind of thing. Like, they didn't do it in such a way that I felt pressured. It was just kind of like, it felt like a thing that everybody was gonna do and was very cool, and they'd like hyped it up to me in such a way that I was just like super stoked, and I was like, yeah, my exchange. This is just like a thing that everyone does.
It's like going to Boy Scouts.
Yeah, and so by the time I got to it, I was just kind of like, yeah, this is that thing that I'm doing, and so I didn't really understand exactly what it was that I was doing until I was there, and then I was like, I think it was like 2.5 or 3 weeks in that I was just like, oh,
so this is what I'm doing.
I'm here for until like next year.
This is my life now.
This is my life. It took me. About 3 months in, I hit my stride, because at that point I could like speak the language, and I had like a rhythm sort of.
Yeah.
And then it became very fun until like the last like month and a half, when I was just like so tired.
Over it.
Yeah. You start missing very weird things, or I did. I started missing very weird things. Like, this is a thing that I'm ashamed of now, but I started missing fast food, because the only fast food restaurant in the whole city was a McDonald's that was about 3 blocks away from my house, because I lived like dead center of downtown.
Oh, wow.
Which was very, very cool, because the other exchange students that I was friends with, almost all of them lived in like the little towns outside of the big city that I lived in, but I lived literally on the biggest piazza in the city, like as downtown as it was possible to be.
That is so great.
Yeah. So, like, I could go on the balcony of my host family's apartment and like see the Piazza Duomo is the biggest piazza in the city. So it has like the fanciest church. So I could see the biggest cathedral in the city from my balcony.
How picturesque.
And also I could see the volcano, which was...
Oh my god, right, because there's a volcano!
Yeah.
Facts about the world I often forget.
Yeah, I got to see it erupt a couple times.
What? Did like anything come out apart from smoke, or?
No, there'd be lava, like a little bit. It wouldn't like erupt. It would kind of just more be like, it would like
leak.
Yeah, like it'd be like a little like leak of lava running down it. I saw that. That only happened like twice.
That's still super cool. Like probably a little scary.
Yeah. It was surreal.
I'm not used to mountains, let alone mountains that have sprung a fire leak.
Yeah, at that point I hadn't really been around mountains yet.
Yeah.
it's not a very big, like, it's big, but it's not, I don't know.
It's not like a range.
Massive. No, it's
like,
just one. It's like one big hill.
One big hill.
Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up missing like really stupid shit, like Tim Hortons. I don't even like Tim Hortons. Like, I like Tim Hortons in the way that all Canadians like Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
But I'm not like a devotee.
It's not.
But like,
it's not crave-worthy.
No. But yeah, I missed really dumb shit.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. You just kind of miss like the stuff that makes you feel like you're at home.
Yeah. The closest thing I ever got to was to an exchange was I went to like this French program where it was called the J'Explore program.
Yeah.
And during it, you just go to like a small town in Quebec, and there's a homestay, and
you have to speak French the whole time.
And I lived in a house with a bunch of different people, and that was kind of cool. So
I almost did that. So the year that I applied, one of my best friends / ex-girlfriend.
Oh, deep lore.
The deep oh heck lore. She did the Explore program, and she went to Trois Pistoles like you did.
What? Did I know this and I just forgot?
It's probably come up before, at least once.
But you know how
I've definitely mentioned that I almost did it. But so I applied to be in it, but they wanted the cutoff was people whose birthday was before July 3rd. Of that year.
Way.
And so I was 2 days off the cutoff because my birthday is July 5th, and they wouldn't budge. They were like, we can't make an exception for you because then we'd have to make an exception for everybody, which I understand now is a legitimate reason.
Yep.
But at the time, I was like, bullshit.
This is the stupidest. I hope this burns. Yeah.
That would have been 2006?
Oh, wow.
I think? Because I think they wanted you to be 18. I think you had to be 18.
I think
or
so,
17.
yeah. I think you have to be 18.
I think it was 18 because they want you to be a legal drinking age in Quebec because they know you're going to drink.
Because otherwise, what else are you going to do in Trois fucking Pistoles? Nothing else. I can tell you right now. That is all we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was, kind of an experience. As my craziest living experience, though, was, you know all about this, but our viewers at home don't. So when I first moved to Montreal, I lived in a really big apartment. It was like the top of a house, basically. And I lived with like anywhere from like 8 to 12 people, depending on who was around, who was like there that year.
It was like a constantly rotating cast.
It really was, and some people would like leave for the summer, and we get like a summer sublet, and they'd come back and whatever. So, there were, let's think while trying to not break combo. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms technically, but we kind of made a fifth one out of like essentially a closet.
Yeah, which our friend, who is very good at living in a Spartan manner.
Yes.
Like thrived in. He was enough for like a single bed and a desk, and that was literally all he needed to be happy.
It was great. We charged him like $100 a month in rent. The whole place is only like $2,000, which is crazy now that I live in Toronto, but in Montreal, $2,000 is like, oh wow, that's expensive. But you have roommates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have been what? That would have been they probably would have called it like a 6.5?
Probably, yeah. And like it had a kitchen and like a little living room and one bathroom for the longest time, which
they finally converted the other closet into a bathroom.
They did. We called it the spaceship, like a spaceship. And they literally cleared out a bathroom, cleared out a closet, and just stuck like a camper toilet in there that was like vacuum powered as far as I can tell. It like made this horrible explosion noise whenever you flushed it, which was usually at like 3 a.m. and it was right next to my bedroom.
And the sink was right over top of it. Like
yes.
It was like you had to like lean over the toilet to wash your hands.
You did. It was incredible.
I think I only ever used that toilet once because I just couldn't. I would just wait for the other one. I was like, I can't.
I can't.
I cannot with this.
Can't get past.
Yeah.
It was an experience. This is where I met Chrissu's brother, incidentally.
Yeah, this is how we know each other, actually.
Yeah, it is.
This is why we know each other.
Yeah, it's at this place. I lived with Chrissu's brother for 2 years, who was a great roommate. And
he's a pretty good roommate.
Yeah,
he's just smelly.
A little smelly, but he keeps his area clean. So
yeah.
I only paid like $200 rent, which was crazy. The one bathroom worked much more well than one would expect because everyone had such crazy different schedules. Yeah. Like your brother's, well, now wife, would get up at like 5 a.m. or something completely bonkers, and then there'd be like the 6 a.m. crew, and then there was like a 7 a.m. crew. I didn't live at the time, so I usually like crawled out of my cave around like, I don't know, 1 p.m. or something.
Well, you also like worked until 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's true. One of the years I was there, I was working at a Ben & Jerry's, and I would get home at 4 a.m. sometimes, depending on how horrible the bathroom was that night, since it was downtown Montreal. So we were all just completely on different schedules. Sometimes I'd come home and there'd be like a party going on, and you just kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
The nice thing about it, though, was that if you ever wanted to play a board game, there was always enough people.
Yeah, you literally like didn't have to go anywhere for your socializing. It's kind of like the same benefit as living in like a residence in university.
It's so true. Yeah,
you just kind of like, you just have access to all this socializing. You don't have to work for it. You just kind of stick your head out the hallway and you're like, who's around? Who wants to hang out with me?
So true. And I had such a shit res experience that I guess it was nice to have this. Like, I still have absolutely no idea how to make friends because they literally were all just like delivered to my house.
Yeah.
And yourself
included. It is funny once you stop, like, if you ever stop having roommates, it's really weird and hard to start making new friends if you don't just like try to befriend everybody at work. But then what if you work with shitty people?
Yeah, exactly. You just have to hope that your friends that you have friends that you don't have yet, and then you can like combine them. But yeah, probably the wildest thing that happened while I was living there was we had this one guy who was from France. We had quite a few roommates from France, but we had this one guy in the summer, and it was very difficult to communicate with him because he spoke like very, very, very French, and we all spoke Canadian French, but like they're different enough sometimes that it's very hard.
Yeah, and if you're really used to one accent, I now have a little bit of difficulty with French because I'm not very used to it. So it always takes me a minute to be like, what are you saying?
I have like great difficulty, honestly. So as it turns out, he started like harboring people from a hostel that was down the road, like for free, which in hindsight, probably we should have like made a fuss about, but we didn't. And it turns out that he was actually harboring twins.
That's right. I was about to say, is this the twin story?
It is the twin story, but none of us knew that they were twins.
Yeah, you would only ever see one at a time.
Yes.
You would just see him again in a different outfit.
Exactly. And then one night I came home from work at like 4 a.m. after working at Ben & Jerry's, and I walked into the living room and they're all sitting around and like, I don't know, drinking, whatever, stuff you do at 4 a.m. in a living room. And I remember walking in and seeing two of them and just being so completely certain that I had actually lost my mind.
Like you'd finally snapped the tether.
I was like, so this is how it ends? And I had to have it explained to me that they were in fact twins and I had not lost my mind.
I mean, that is the better option of the two.
Yeah, it totally is. But then I had so many other questions. I'm like, why are you keeping not one, but two Frenchmen for free in your room? Like, what is going on?
That apartment was, like, shenanigans central.
It really was. It was a good time.
As concerned living arrangements. There was that guy whose, like, mom came to live with you guys for a while. Oh my
god, yeah, we had this guy, and he didn't really talk at all. He had this, god, I don't remember what it's called now, but it was a specific type of sort of piano, like percussion, like type piano instrument. I think it's like an Eastern European thing. And he would play it sometimes when he thought no one was home. And
of course you were home.
And of course I was home. I was always home when I wasn't like working or going to school, which is a thing I definitely did.
Yeah.
And it was very beautiful.
Perfect attendance.
Yeah, completely. So he was Czech, and his mother came to visit. But this was that year that volcano in Iceland erupted, and no one could cross the Atlantic for for ages. No one could go for a long, long time. So she got stuck in our apartment. And she was a lovely woman, but did not speak English really at all. Luckily, your brother did his exchange in the Czech Republic.
The Czech Republic.
So your brother...
Another language that doesn't come up very often outside of the country where it's primarily spoken.
And amazingly, Czech came up. But the gag was, she was actually from Slovakia.
Right.
So she spoke Slovak, and she spoke Czech with apparently a miserable accent that was almost impossible to understand. So we just communicated with this woman for like months. I think it was like 2 months she was there with your brother, like attempting to remember Czech, because it had been quite a few years for him at that point, and trying to communicate with this woman who wasn't really that great at Czech either. It was extraordinary. She made really good bread.
I bet she did.
Yeah. It was we had such a cast. We had a guy, this guy was from Egypt, and he didn't know how to use a microwave.
Oh, that's right, because he'd like never really had to do it for himself.
Yeah, he was a bit coddled, as it turned out. He kept leaving raw chicken out, and the cats kept like eating it. It was very bad. We had to like show him how to use like the washing machine and stuff. I was like, man, he was like 30. I was like 21 at the time, and I was like, you need to like watch some YouTube videos or something. Like, this is not acceptable.
Yeah. I feel like that was honestly like a little bit before the YouTube tutorial thing really even took off.
You know, you're right.
This was a long time ago.
You're right. It was before the YouTube thing really took off. But I haven't had roommates very often. I moved out of that place and then stopped having roommates.
Yeah, I guess that was really your like one big roommate experience. It was just like all of the roommates you could possibly have in a very short period. Just
crammed in, yeah. Like I was in res for 1 year in university, and it was really bad. I did have a single room, which was really sweet. Mm-hmm. There was a guy, his name was, well, I'll say his name, no one knows who he is. His name was Anton, and I called him Happy Anton, because my Dawn, which is like, I think they're called res fellows or RAs in some places, person responsible for our floor, she used to always write happy birthday whoever on her like whiteboard outside her door. But Anton's got vandalized, and it just said Happy Anton, and for some reason it was there for like a week.
And so everyone just called him Happy Anton.
I have no idea what people did, but I called him Happy Anton. I like spoke to this guy once in my life. He lived next to me.
Okay.
And at night I could hear him snoring. And sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night because of his snoring and be really confused because I would think it was my parents snoring. But then it wasn't them, and I wasn't at home, and I would just like wake up sometimes and just be like so disoriented. So that was Happy Anton. And I did have 3 roommates in second year, but they were all like ghosts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think I've heard about them ever, because I don't think that you really interacted with them very much.
There's like nothing to tell. Well, like we were friends. One of them, they were all very nice. One of them was a guy who was studying to be an economist, and he was from Calgary, and he wasn't an exciting person, but he was very nice and very, very tall. I felt like I was talking up a tree whenever I talked to him. I had another roommate who was he was like a cat. He was sleeping all the time. He was like you before I met you.
Yeah, that is what I was like.
Yeah, and
honestly, when I was in undergrad, I spent a whole lot of my time just sleeping.
He was just always sleeping. He was Japanese, and he cooked me a lot of really good food. My other roommate was from Taiwan, and she also cooked me a whole lot of good food. She used to just disappear. And then she would reappear like 5 days later and be like, so I was in Toronto. We were like, we thought you were dead. Like, you need to tell us. Like, you know, you're your own person. You have freedom. And she was definitely, like, not malicious or anything. She was just like, I don't know, I just found myself there. I kind of forgot to tell you, but I'm here now. And she used to come into my room at night and just, like, sit on my bed and talk to me about, like, a show she watched. And be like, I've just been trying to sleep here. This all sounds horrible, but she was actually a great person. I miss her a lot.
So I have, I've been holding on to this story. I've been holding on to this story in my soul for like a really long time because it's just like really hard to talk about. And
I've just been holding on.
It's time. It's time. I need to talk about it.
Okay,
so
I'm here for you.
When I was in undergrad, I got out a house off campus with like a bunch of my friends, and it was a big house. It was 6 bedrooms, so there were 6 of us living there. And it was me and 5 girls, and then me and 4 girls and 1 dude, and then me and 5 girls again. So like we had some roster changes over the years.
Yeah, as things tend to be.
Yeah.
I forgot that you had that one dude there actually.
Oh yeah, he was the best. And
then we met someone else who like knew him as well.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. So what had happened with that? Was, so he dated this girl named Anna Sophie.
What a great name.
Which is a great name. She was a singer. And she was like, she was going to school sometime. I think her like voice teacher lived in Ottawa or something, but she was actually from either Quebec City or Montreal. Anyway. Many years later now, one of my friends is dating someone who knows her. And it was very weird to find that out. Like, we had her as a mutual friend on Facebook, and I was just like, what the fuck? How do you know this person? And yeah, and then she used to date my roommate. So that's
this guy and people related to him are like the singularity.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, he was great though. He was. It was really nice having him in the house because he was super chill. He was one of the better roommates that I've ever had.
The great equalizer.
Yeah, just like so unbothered. He was like born a dad. He radiates powerful dad energy. Like you can just see him like even if he's not wearing them, he's got like phantom fuzzy slippers on his feet and like a smoking jacket and a newspaper in one hand. Like it's that. He's like a 1950s dad.
The temperature in the room always drops to 18 degrees no matter what.
No matter what. all the thermostats automatically adjust as he enters the room.
Amazing.
But yeah, so we had in our final year of living there, we had what I now call my most horrifying roommate experience.
Oh my god.
So let's call her Karen.
Yeah, Karen.
Karen. Her name is not Karen, but for the purpose of the story, her name is Karen. So, there's 2 major things that happened with regard to Karen, and I'm going to summarize them as best I can.
Can I just stop you for a second? Do I know Karen?
No, you don't. You've never met her.
Okay, cool.
She was someone that was like in the same program as one of my other roommates, and she joined us for that 1 year. And like I didn't really know her. She seemed very nice and very normal, and we're like, cool, that's fine. You can be our roommate kind of thing. But she wasn't really anybody's very good friend. There was like very little at stake with this person.
Okay.
So that helped.
She was just Karen.
Yeah, she was just Karen. She was, Karen from school.
Just Karen.
Yeah, just Karen. So the first thing that happened that indicated to us that maybe she wasn't as okay as we thought. This could be a very long story, but I'm going to basically summarize it as my other roommate was the artistic director for the theater program or the theater company at my university.
Right.
And she had hired or like picked Karen to be the music director for a musical they were putting on, which meant it was Karen's responsibility to put together and rehearse with the band to play the music for the musical.
Okay.
So basically what ended up happening was there was no band. She kept saying there was a band. Several months in, and then 2 weeks out from the show going up, there was no band, and she had just sort of vanished and stopped replying to texts and stopped coming home.
And stopped coming home?
Yeah, she just wouldn't come home. She would come home at very strange hours and leave very early. She was like avoiding my roommate who was the artistic director, her boss, essentially. She was avoiding her boss, who she happened to live with.
Which is really awkward.
Which is very awkward. Eventually there was a confrontation in the kitchen whilst I was trying to make a salad.
Oh my god, right in front of your salad!
I was just standing there. My roommate, who was the artistic director, was waiting for Karen to get home. And Karen came home finally, and I just happened to be in the room, and I was like trapped because it was just happening.
Oh my god!
All of a sudden, it was just happening, and I couldn't leave.
It was just you and your salad and this altercation.
I was just like chopping vegetables and like trying to like grill turkey on the little George Foreman grill, while like I have a blush response even for things that aren't happening to me, so I was just like red from head to toe, trying very hard not to cry because I was so uncomfortable. I can picture this happening to you
so vividly. Yeah.
So that happened, and it more or less resolved itself in the sense that like somehow they managed to find and put together and rehearse a band for the show. The show went on as normal. The show went on.
Wow. The show did go on.
And we kind of just tried to forgive and forget as best we could.
Right.
Well, with the knowledge that this had happened and it was very shitty.
Oh my god.
So that happened. Then Karen went home for the summer. But our lease was until September. It was everyone was going to move out at the end of August kind of thing. But she had left her stuff and she was going to come back at the end of August to get her stuff and move out when all of us moved out together.
Which makes sense. People did that.
Yeah. So she was just going to go home for the summer and then come back and move out her stuff. That's fine. So while we were there over the summer, our landlord decided that he wanted to like, I don't know what he was doing, but he needed to like stage the house for some reason and have someone come look at it. And apparently, because he had like renovated the house in such a way that it was more bedrooms than it was supposed to be. So like there was like a bedroom on the second floor where the kitchen and the living room were that wasn't really supposed to be there that he had added in. And like,
wasn't your bedroom like the back door too?
My bedroom was the only room on the main floor. It was like a big townhouse that just sort of went up and up and up. So my bedroom was the only room on the main floor, and it was like the back, which also had the back door in it.
Right.
So he asked us to like turn Karen's bedroom, because her bedroom was the only bedroom on the same floor as the kitchen, into a dining room, so that we could show that it wasn't a bedroom, like what it could look like if it weren't a bedroom. I don't know. I have no idea what the I do not know what the logic here was, because basically what we did was we like shifted all of her stuff out into the living room, so it was very obvious that we had emptied her room, put it in the living room to turn her bedroom into a dining room for this one day, while this person from somewhere, the bank or something, or a real estate company or whatever, came to look at it. It was very weird. It was a very weird thing for us to do, but he was offering us like $100 to do it. I think each. He just like, our landlord just offered us money to do this. So we were like, we'd be stupid to turn that down because that's free money and it's it's gonna take us like an afternoon.
Yeah. What was he hiding?
I have no idea. Like I to this day I do not know what the logic with this was. I don't care to understand. I don't care to theorize. All I know is that we got paid $100 to clear out a bedroom and turn it into a dining room.
Wow.
And we did that.
That's very
So
that's a thing.
A detail to note at this point was that over the like previous months, like toward the end of the school year especially, we've been noticing that we were like running low on like cutlery and dishes.
Oh boy.
Which was very bizarre. And no one in the house had any explanation. We checked everybody's rooms. There weren't dishes in anybody's rooms. We had no idea where they had gone. There was like, it's like they had just vanished into thin air.
Yeah.
So that's going to be important in a second, because
okay, good. I hold on to this.
While we were cleaning out Karen's room, we discovered what we thought to be like boxes that she had packed in preparation for moving out.
Okay.
But then we noticed something kind of funny about them, specifically that there were ants coming out of them.
Oh no! Oh no! Go on. I'm clutching my pearls while playing this
And then
song.
we also found like a big shopping bag that had dishes in it. And then we opened one of the boxes, and the box was full of our dishes.
Like clean? Like dirty?
Not clean.
Oh no.
I don't even remember how many there were. I think there were 2 boxes and 1 grocery bag, just like full of dirty dishes from like the month.
Excuse me, how many?
2 boxes and basically all of our dishes were in Karen's bedroom.
Dirty. In boxes.
It's worth noting, her bedroom was the only bedroom on the same floor as the kitchen, and we had a dishwasher.
What was going on?
I don't know. I think she was having a tough time.
Yeah.
But we never found out what was going on, because she was always super like cheerful and like, I don't like to use. It seemed like everything was fine.
Oh my god.
It did not seem like things were this bad.
Wow, I wonder if it was like a hoarding thing?
I do not know.
Some people have I don't know, wow.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't speculate what was going on in Karen's life.
I'm not going to speculate what's going on in Karen's life. All I know is that we found...
That's what you found.
Boxes full of dirty dishes.
Oh my god, so did you just like put them on the dishwasher?
Yeah, I think
they must have been really nasty.
Yeah, we washed them one way or another and put them back, and suddenly we had just this incredible surplus of dishes and felt very luxurious.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I guess you would have just had to keep like buying more dishes and stuff.
Yeah, I think we like, so we were poor, so we bought like, you can get like sets of cutlery at the dollar store. So we had like metal cutlery from the dollar store. We bought like 2 or 3 sets of it.
I honestly
and it just
still
kept
have
vanishing.
so many. I still have like so many bowls and dishes from the dollar store that I still use.
Honestly, I got like, so when I moved into residence, I got like a little set of dishes for myself, and they were dollar store dishes, and they were great. I'm sure they were not amazing quality, but they lasted. And I've had IKEA stuff that didn't last as well as the dollar store stuff, so I don't know what that says about anything, but
yeah. Like, it really needs to do is not break. Like, they're just dishes.
I have a bad habit of... I'm not actually a very clumsy person, except when it comes to dishes. I have, like, a weird habit of breaking dishes.
That's kind of funny.
It is funny.
I have, I'm very clumsy, as you all know. But, you know, I'm actually not too bad at dishes. I don't really break stuff.
I think the problem is that sometimes my mind wanders while I'm washing dishes. And then it just sort of slips, and suddenly I've got, like, 2 halves of a bowl.
Suddenly,
yeah,
the dishes are not so much.
My mind tends to wander a lot while I'm doing dishes, and I do dishes a lot because I live alone. So, like, I'm the only one who does the dishes.
If you don't do them, no one's gonna do them.
They don't get done.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is actually that is how my roommate experience has ended. I now live alone, and it's not actually it's not really like I only ever had that one roommate who I could say was like a bad roommate. All of my other roommates have been pretty fine.
Pretty fine. You've had like a roommate who spent a really long time in the bathroom. That sticks out to me.
Oh my god, yeah. He was, yeah.
And you've had a roommate who like accidentally killed that mouse.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. I don't know if that story is too gruesome to tell, honestly.
I will not tell that story in case anybody listening is not. I don't think anybody really wants to hear about a dead mouse.
No, I think that anecdote is like it describes itself anyway.
Suffice to say, we discovered a dead mouse that we didn't know was there.
Your problem in that place was mostly like the neighbors who sounded like they were dropping bowling balls on the floor daily.
Yeah, we had people living above us who had young children, and I'm very patient with kids, but these kids tested my patience because they were like, there was a lot of screaming and a lot of just like running from end to end of the apartment at all hours of the day, and
constantly.
Like being awake and screaming very early.
Yeah,
and
it was not good.
I don't think that they were old enough to be in school, so it was just all day. It was just all day. So that was not great for me.
No.
I tried for so long to just be cavalier about it, but eventually I started complaining because I was just like, I can't.
Well, like, I didn't even live there, and it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I was there pretty often, especially because that was the year I was making my Sailor Moon, my Usagi cosplay.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a sewing machine yet, so I was at your house, like, a lot. And I was like, I can't live like this, Christopher.
Yeah, I was like,
you were like,
this one time I was like leaving the apartment, and both the kids were out on the, like, because I was in the basement, but they had like a teeny little balcony at the back of their apartment, on like looking over the parking lot kind of thing, and I was like going out, and both the kids were on the balcony, and I gave those kids the dirtiest look. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I know you were like 3 and 2, but I want you to know that I disapprove of you and your behavior.
Yeah. I've only lived alone for a brief period of time. Residence doesn't really count. I had a single room, but I wasn't really alone.
You're never really alone in residence.
No. Boy, you wish you were. But I lived alone before moving to Toronto for a short while. My partner moved to Toronto to start a job, and I didn't move for a while. So we were looking for a place and stuff. My partner was living in the basement of his uncle's place, and he didn't have a great time. I actually really enjoyed the short time I spent living alone, and that's like, I feel a little bad saying that because my partner hated it, but I don't know, something about it was kind of nice.
Living alone
I think that
for me anyway.
Yeah.
I ended up doing it just because I was like, I reached a point where I was like, my roommates at the time were fine. I had no problem with them. But I was just kind of like, I've done this, and now I would prefer not to do this.
Something else. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously living with my partner is perfectly fine and everything, but I think it was just like a new experience that I hadn't had in life, even though at the time I was 28 years old.
I highly recommend, if it is like financially feasible for you to do so at some point in your future, dear listeners, try living alone for a little while. It's very cool. For me, it's especially good because I like to be neat, and so I'm not overly like compulsively clean or anything like that, but I like to keep my house neat. I don't have to worry about anybody else messing it up, and any mess that there is mine, which is fine, which is a lot easier to deal with than coming home to a mess that's not mine that I know I'm going to clean up anyway, because that's just how I function.
That's just who you are.
I can use the kitchen whenever I want, and I can use the bathroom whenever I want, and those were the two things that really did it. I was like, when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to wait to make my breakfast. I don't have to feel bad for making a very involved dinner for myself because I'm not monopolizing the space of someone else.
Yeah, and like, you know, living with a significant other is different too than roommates, of course, because like presumably you're making meals for each other at the same time and stuff. So, but yeah, after I lived in that menagerie, I just moved out with him and never looked back, really.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my like, and then, you know, even then I didn't really have much in the way of bad neighbors.
Yeah, for me, those were my only bad neighbors, and I can't even say bad. They were just loud, and it's not. I always felt bad complaining with them because I was like, they're kids, and kids are loud, and that's okay. But it was still annoying to me.
Yeah, and like I'm sure like it was really shitty for the parents.
Yeah, I'm sure
whoever was
stressed
whoever was looking
too.
after them. Like maybe it was just an older sibling or something too. You know.
Yeah.
We don't know what their lives are like.
No. But it still bothered me. No matter how much I tried to be mindful about it, I was like, I don't care. It's 6 in the morning and people are screaming and stomping above my head.
You can only be mindful for so long. Like, there's a point where it's just like, this person is bad and making my life bad.
This is making me miserable.
Yeah. Right now, I'm living in a new place. We moved in about a month ago, and it's really great except for the fact that I discovered on the first night here, I have sleeping problems, as many of you may know, and I'm very sensitive to sound and noise and lights. Sound and noise are different things, apparently. And I discovered on the first night that the walls are thin enough that I can hear my neighbor snoring through them. So it's Happy Anton all over again.
Oh, Happy Anton.
Oh, Happy Anton.
Yeah, apart from those neighbors we've had, actually, I do have one more neighbor story.
Oh, go
this
on.
goes back to that place where I was living with in the townhouse in undergrad, the 5 roommates. So, this one time, in the middle of winter, and this was in a city that gets very brutal winters, it was like 3 in the morning, and I get woken up because... Well, what I don't realize what it is at first. All I hear is like pounding, like on a wall. It sounds like.
Is this Montreal or Ottawa?
Ottawa.
Okay.
So someone was pounding on a wall or something, and then so I start waking up a little bit more, and I realize that someone is pounding on a door. At first, I freak out a little bit because I think that someone is pounding on the back door, which is the room which goes into my bedroom, and that scared me a little bit. But then I realized no, they were pounding on the front door, which isn't that much better at 3 in the morning.
No, it's really not.
Really not that much better. So then the door is like right by my bedroom, so I'm like, I guess this is my problem. So I wake up and I get up and I go to the front door and I open the front door and there are 2 girls who it turns out live next door to us. But I didn't know this. All I knew was that there were 2 girls wearing the tiniest black dresses and these tiny little black coats and like 4-inch black heels in minus 25, 20, like somewhere in the minus 20s weather.
Yeah.
In January. Yeah. And they're just standing there, freezing, and they're like so fucking drunk. They just come into my house. Like, they just come in. And they're just in the entranceway to my house, and I was just kind of like, okay. And then they finally explained, like, we live next door, we don't have a key, and we got back before our friends, and like, but like much more drunken. It took me a while to get the coherent story out of them. At this point, they're being so loud that they've woken up my friend who lives on the second floor by the kitchen. I don't know. I think this was I want to say this was in our first year living there. So she's awake now, and she's like, what the fuck's going on, kind of thing. And then there's these two drunk girls standing there waiting for their friends to come home. So I just had to stand there, and they were like babbling at us and asking us about ourselves and being like, oh my god, next time we go out, you guys are coming with us. You guys are coming with us. You're amazing. Like, oh my god, you guys are amazing. Like, you know that point in the evening where you find a girl in the bathroom at a bar, and she's your best friend you've never met before, but she tells you how beautiful you are, and she's like the most supportive person you've ever met in your life, and you're in love with her a little bit. It was like that, but so bad. It was just I was like, I'm sober. You guys are so drunk. You came in without being invited. I was asleep. This is my least favorite. Like, this is a combination of my least favorite things in the universe, all happening at the same time.
At the same time. Belligerent intruders during sleep time.
And how much, like, do you think we ever went out with them?
No.
We did not.
Did you ever see them again?
We saw them a couple times. But they were like, I think they said hi once or twice, but like, they also started telling us all these things about the people who had lived in the apartment, in the house before us, which I don't think were true. But they were just like making shit up and just like talking. They were being so fucking loud.
Oh my
I felt so bad because I was like, oh god, I let them in. I've woken up the whole house.
And you can't kick them out.
No, it's freezing outside.
And they're just two drunk girls in tiny little club outfits.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just leave them on the street.
No, you can't.
How long were they there? Do you even remember?
Like a half hour.
That's a while.
Yeah, they were waiting for their like other roommate to get home in a cab. And I don't know how they got this separated, but
that kind of stuff just happens.
It just happens
when you're out. And
I want to say it was like a Monday too. Like it wasn't like a night that people go out normally.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope those girls are safe wherever they are.
I'm sure they're both like lawyers now or something.
Probably. They're probably doing very well for themselves.
Probably. That's what I want. That's what I choose to believe.
Yeah, that's what I hope.
But
yeah.
Yeah. That's roommates.
That's roommates and neighbors.
And living. And being alive.
You can share your living stories in the comments below. Or you can join our Discord and tell us there.
I recommend that as well.
Yeah,
it's a fun place.
You should join our Discord. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye! I made that last goodbye really loud. It peaked super bad.